Hey, what's going on guys, this is AndrewChicken and welcome back to another video. Damage champions are crucial to making a successful team in Paladins, as they're the ones responsible for softening up the enemies, cutting through shields and healing, and earning most of the kills. Just about every damage champion in the game is effective at doing this if they're played well, but not all champions are made equal. In this video, I'll be going over the top 5 strongest damage champions in Paladins. These champions excel at dishing out high amounts of damage, shredding tanks, defending themselves from flanks, and generally just getting things done. Before we get started, I want to mention that this video is influenced by you, the members of this wonderful community. I made a poll asking which damage champions you guys think are the strongest, and then I used the data from that poll to help make this list. But without further ado, let's go ahead and get straight into the video. Number 5. Bomb King. In the number 5 spot we have everyone's favorite magical anthropomorphic delusional walking bomb, Bomb King. Bomb King topped the damage champions list back in 2020 before he got nerfed, and ever since that nerf, he's kinda just been sitting pretty as an all-around solid blaster champion. While he's definitely past his prime, there's no denying that if you can play Bomb King well, he's a menace to fight. It only takes 3 sticky bombs to kill most champions in the game, maybe 4 if you miss or they have some damage reduction. Getting 3 hits only takes about 2 seconds, and even if you don't land a direct hit, there's still a chance that you'll hit your target with some damage if you detonate his bombs mid-air. This makes him an excellent counter to flanks like Maeve and Eevee, who struggle to match his DPS and also struggle to dodge his damage compared to other blasters like Willow or Drogos. Bomb King can also melt tanks with the talent chain reaction. Getting just 3 sticks in a row is enough to nearly wipe out most tanks' health pools, which makes him the most devastating counter to tanks that's not just percent-based damage like Tyra's Fire or Sky's Poison. And of course, you can combine this with his Grumpy Bomb, which is a fantastic zoning tool that can force players to either run away, use their defensive abilities, or risk getting hit with a nasty 2-second stun that allows Bomb King to easily hit them with sticky bombs. His mobility is also really effective. While it's more complicated than simpler jumps like Buck's Leap, it allows him to have fantastic control over where he goes. If he stands directly on top of the bomb, he goes higher up, but if he stands in front of or to the side of the bomb, he goes further in whichever direction he chooses. To learn more about how to use the Poppy Bomb, as well as other important aspects of Bomb King's kit, consider checking out my Bomb King guide linked in the cards and description. It's a bit older now, but if you're watching this in Season 4, it's still completely reliable and I use all the tips in that guide to this day. And of course, we can't forget Bomb King's ultimate, which is far more effective than similar ultimates like Sky's or Dredge's. He rolls up into a ball and charges forward, and can choose when to detonate the bomb by recasting the ability or using primary fire. It's way more reliable than so many other explosive ultimates, and it hits the survivors with a 2-second stun for him to finish them off with sticky bombs. While it's riskier to use than other ultimates because Bomb King puts himself in danger to land the powerful explosion, it's still super reliable, especially when you combine his Poppy Bomb with his ultimate to get right in the enemy's faces in the blink of an eye. And on top of all this, Bomb King has really good self-sustain when you combine the King's Court card at a high level with Life Rip. He can heal for over 200 health per sticky bomb with this combination, which is utterly absurd. While it's definitely not as strong as some other champions in his class, it's still really helpful when combined with his high damage and his other abilities. Bomb King does have one huge drawback though, his range. Other champions such as Leon, Kinessa, Victor, and Strix can easily outrange Bomb King, since he has slow arcing projectiles that are difficult to hit at longer ranges. Bomb King can effortlessly destroy all the champions I've just mentioned in close quarters, but getting in close quarters with them can be tough on certain maps or against certain team comps. Despite this one glaring weakness, Bomb King remains one of the strongest damage champions in Paladins and is worthy of the number 5 spot on this list. Number 4. Tiberius. Tiberius is another strong champion who brings a lot of burst to the table. If you've played Paladins for any time at all, you've probably been bursted down by his combat trance multiple times, which is no surprise. It's a really powerful ability, since it makes him attack 25% faster over its duration, and also gives him ridiculously good sustain when he uses these 2 cards in conjunction with Life Rip. He throws roughly 2 chakrams every second during combat trance that deals 650 damage each, which means he can burst down the average champion in about 2 seconds, similar to Bomb King. While he doesn't have combat trance, he still has a good burst combo to fall back on, using his Heavy Blade. He can throw a chakram, use his Heavy Blade to deal a big burst of damage and slow the target, and then finish them off with chakrams. Or, in the case of the Tigron's Fury talent, throw a chakram, throw and detonate the sword, and then finish off with a chakram. Even just throwing the sword into a crowd of enemies can be huge value for the team, as the slow will make the enemies much easier to hit. Heavy Blade is just an all-around solid ability. Compared to Bomb King, Tiberius' ultimate and movement ability are arguably slightly worse. His movement ability is way harder to control, although he can get some fantastic distance out of it and cast combat trance while using it. With Vicious Assault, he does get 2 charges out of his leap and a bit more burst if he hits someone with it directly. This gives him more dive potential, more chances to retreat, and generally just more mobility, which is always a good thing. At base though, his leap is just alright. His ultimate deals some decent damage and lets him get out of a sticky situation really effectively, and he can charge it super quickly with this card here. But it does get shut down hard by cripples and isn't as useful in higher levels of gameplay. However, Tiberius is significantly better at range than Bomb King, as his projectiles are faster and have no arc to deal with. They also bounce off walls, allowing Tiberius to hit enemies behind cover if he's lucky or a geometry wizard. Tiberius is also generally just really simple and easy to use. Bomb King is one of the hardest damage champions in the game due to the nature of his projectiles, and while he's really strong and mastering him is super rewarding, he's just not for everybody. Tiberius' projectiles are less complex, and his entire kit is just easier to understand and get value out of. So if you're just starting out, you might get more value out of Tiberius because of this reason. This, when combined with his ridiculous burst and high sustain, earns Tiberius the number 4 spot on this list. Number 3. Cassie. Now, I must admit, Cassie is a bit low on this list, if you consider the 3rd best damage champion in the game to be a low ranking. These final 3 champions are all ridiculously strong, and so the order honestly doesn't matter too much. So if you're a Cassie fan, blame democracy for her not being number 1. Anyways, what's not to love about Cassie? She has everything going for her: high burst, good mobility, good sustain, and no damage fall off. All 3 of her talents are strong and viable, with each of them buffing her damage in a different way. Her easiest and most reliable talent is Impulse, which gives a flat damage buff to her blast shot, which can be combined with a regular crossbow shot to deal nearly 1300 damage instantly. With this talent, a blast shot combo followed up by a disengage combo is enough to kill some lower HP champions. But it's not that big of a deal if she doesn't 2-shot somebody, since a blast shot combo followed up by a regular shot is enough to make most champions run away in fear. And if you hit multiple enemies with a blast shot while using the Blast Shower card, you can get another one back almost instantly. However, if you want to take on a bit more risk for way more reward, Exaction is perfect for you. After every dodge roll, Cassie's next shot will deal 30% more damage, or nearly 900 damage. A blast shot combo with an Exaction buffed crossbow shot will deal 1350 damage, which is even burstier than Impulse. And if you use the Excitement card with a bit of Chronos, you can instantly reset the cooldown of your dodge roll when you hit your first shot after rolling. This gives Cassie a nearly permanent 30% damage buff, fantastic mobility, and some really good sustain with the card Onslaught, as long as you're hitting your shots. But of course, the drawback is that your aim has to be really, really good to keep the roll chain going, and it gets shut down if you hit a shield or deployable instead of a player. Still, if you want to be a menacing champion to fight, this talent is for you. However, if you need to fill the role of a tank buster, then Big Game is your best option. When you use Disengage on an enemy like Rom or Yagharoth, your shots will deal the original 680 damage, plus an additional 8% of the target's maximum HP. You can hit 5 shots over the course of the Big Game buff, which means 40% of the target's health will be gone, just from Big Game alone, and this isn't counting the additional 3,400 damage you'll do from the crossbow shots themselves. This is the easiest way to kill just about any tank in the game, and even some characters like Soul Collector Ceres. And of course, you can buy Life Rip and get loads of healing from each of these super buffed crossbow shots. It's just great. And with all of these talents, Cassie has no damage falloff, so she can duel snipers much more effectively than champions like Victor and Tyra, and her projectiles are rather fast, so they're more reliable to hit at long distances than Bomb King's. And she can reveal every single player on the enemy team with her ultimate, which is super valuable for hunting down targets, shutting down flanks, and generally just getting an advantage over the enemies. This champion is all around just fantastic, and a solid champion to pick up and learn. Without a doubt, Cassie deserves at least the number 3 spot on this list. Number 2. Leon. Now if you thought the first few champions we've covered were bursty, you ain't seen nothing yet. Leon is the queen of high burst on squishy targets, having a kit designed around killing things as fast as humanly possible. Every one of her abilities can be comboed after a shot from her primary fire, which itself has a fast fire rate of just under half a second. While the individual abilities are pretty weak, when you combine them together in quick succession, Leon becomes one of the scariest champions in the game to fight. For example, she can do a combo that goes as follows when using an Alacrity build: shoot, grace, shoot, valor, shoot, grace. This combo takes about a second and a half and deals 2400 damage to the poor soul who is the victim of all those primary shots, and even more damage if some of those were headshots. The rest of the people in Leon's sights would have taken 1200 damage just by being on screen, since Leon's Valor ability hits all enemies on screen automatically for 400 damage, and with Alacrity, so does her Grace ability, or quite simply her dash. And of course, this is ignoring the Shoot plus Presence combo that you can do, which itself deals 1200 damage, but can deal even more if you're using the Eminence talent, which scales up the damage Presence does at longer ranges. Having those auto-aim combos is a huge advantage for Leon for two reasons. First, she's a very easy champion to get into, since you don't get punished as hard for having bad aim. Second, she's a hard counter to champions like Eevee and Maeve, whose primary mode of survival is simply being hard to hit. She's also the hardest counter to Drogoz in the damage class for the same reason, two abilities to guarantee he takes damage, as well as a hit scan ability with no damage falloff in the form of Presence. And you see, the thing that's interesting about Leon is that all of her abilities count as weapon shots. This means that on-hit effects like Life Rip and Cauterize apply to everything she shoots, not just her primary fire. This means Leon is one of the best champions in the game for spreading out Cauterize when using an Alacrity build, and it means that Life Rip is a fantastic item to buy, since it affects everything she shoots. Other damaged champions simply don't get this feature. Victor can't get lifesteal on his grenade, Bomb King can't apply Cauterize with his Grumpy Bomb, Drogoz can't get lifesteal on his Fire Spit, you get the idea. But her abilities don't consume ammo, strangely enough, and with some cards, they even generate ammo back. Speaking of cards, her cards are designed with snowballing kills in mind. Her most powerful cooldown reset card is arguably Inheritance, which reduces all of her cooldowns by up to 50% if you earn an elimination. Not a killing blow, just an elimination. She gets her cooldowns reduced if she just taps an enemy and they die to someone else, which is stupidly easy for her given her auto-aim abilities I mentioned earlier. Her other cooldown reset cards are really strong too. Heraldry rewards her for hitting Presence by reducing its cooldown for each enemy hit, and Swift Jade is what makes her Alacrity build so strong, since it lowers the cooldown of Grace for each enemy hit by Valor. It's very easy for Leon to have all of her abilities up at any given moment, which can't be said for most other champions. The one weakness Leon has is that she's a bit of a glass cannon. She brings damage in spades, but doesn't have much in the way of survivability. Of course, a lot of times this isn't an issue, since Leon can't really die if the person she's fighting is already dead to her burst. However, if she gets low and needs to win a fight, that's no problem. Her ultimate, Enlightenment, gives her 50% damage reduction, and after 1 second, fires a powerful blast that deals 1600 damage and pierces enemies. And of course, because Leon is fair and balanced, she gets 50% of her ultimate refunded if she kills one or more enemies, so by the time you come around to fight her again, she's probably already got her ultimate back. Now, if you're looking for even more tips for Leon, I have a whole guide dedicated to going over her gameplay tips and powerful builds. Just like the Bomb King guide, a link to that will be in the cards and the description if you want to check it out. Leon is not only pretty easy, but stupendously bursty and strong, which earns her the number 2 spot on this list. Number 1. Tyra. And in the number 1 spot we have the best damage champion in Paladins at the moment as voted by the community, Tyra. Tyra is an absolute juggernaut of damage output, and she's also one of the toughest damage champions to kill. She's got the highest base HP of any damage champion at 2400, and she also has 15% inbuilt lifesteal, so she heals herself just by shooting enemies without even buying Life Rip. Speaking of shooting enemies, Tyra is really freaking good at it. She deals just under 1200 damage per second and can hit headshots, and she can amplify her damage further by using Hunter's Mark, which reveals the marked enemy to her entire team for 5 seconds and increases the damage she deals to them by 15%. With the talent Hunting Party, she gains 2 charges of her Hunter's Mark and allows her entire team to deal 15% extra damage to the marked target, not just her. This talent is really powerful, and it's widely considered to be her worst talent, so you can imagine just how much stronger she really gets. Tyra also has a nade launcher built into her gun, and she can fire a grenade every 9 seconds which deals 700 damage. It's great as a finisher move, but with Mercy Kill and a good build using the cards In the Fray and Primal Might, it turns into an ability which gives her nearly permanent 25% damage reduction. Mercy Kill gives her 3 charges of her grenade, which all have a 9-second cooldown. In the Fray gives her 25% damage reduction every 3 seconds, which lets her use a grenade every 3 seconds to refresh the damage reduction. However, the cooldowns of the grenades don't tick down simultaneously, instead going one by one. This can be solved by Primal Might, which reduces her cooldowns by 50% if she gets an elimination, and the cooldown reduction applies to all 3 of them. So if you use 2 grenades fighting an enemy, and then you kill them, you'll have those 2 grenades back in no time. This loadout makes her excellent at fighting off flanks, since most of the flanks in the game don't do enough damage to kill her massive health pool through this damage reduction and inbuilt sustain before Tyra kills them. Tyra is one of the hardest champions to flank when played properly, although she has no movement ability to run away or chase an enemy down, which at least gives flanks a tiny sliver of a chance to succeed. Tyra is also the best damage champion in the game hands down for fighting tanks, especially with the talent Burn Monster. This is because of her Fire Grenade, which covers an entire area with fire that deals 9% of a target's maximum health every 0.6 seconds. It lasts for 6.6 seconds, so if you stand in her Fire Grenade for its entire duration, you'll have taken 99% of your health in damage. Considering that she's also likely to be shooting you down while you're in the fire, you'd better not stand in that for long. With Burn Monster, it cripples anyone who stands inside of it, and deals 11.7% of a target's max health pool every 0.6 seconds. This is deadly for tanks like Yaggorath, who basically don't get to play the game while Tyra is alive. If Tyra throws fire on a tank, uses Hunter's Mark on them, and then shoots them down, they're as good as dead if they can't escape her. Even without Burn Monster, she melts tanks, and what's great about her fire is that it deals damage in an entire zone. So if someone like Barrack has a nice setup on point with multiple turrets and a shield, it's all taking damage with one well-placed fire grenade. Tyra is the bane of every tank's existence, and the fact that she can shred tanks this well while also being hard to flank with Mercy Kill is utterly insane. If Tyra had mobility, she would be a god-tier champion. But since she doesn't, she's only considered to be the absolute best damage champion in Paladins, which is still pretty good, if you ask me. But anyways, that's going to be the end of the video. What do you think of my list? Do you agree with the champions on this list, or do you think someone else deserves to be number one? Let me know in the comments section down below, and also don't forget to like this video and subscribe for more content like this from me. Also make sure to check out my Twitch channel and Discord server linked in the description. I stream regularly on Twitch, and I also have a fantastic and active community on Discord, so if you're looking for players to party up, you know where to go. Anyways, I'll see you guys next time. Peace out.